Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo woo.
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name, as always, is Ty Hildebrandt, joined, as always, by my friend, my co-host, a fine gentleman who's just waiting on the world to change. His name is Dan Rubenstein, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Ty, quick question before we go any further.
Please.
Why does it feel the same to both fall in love and to break it off? If young love, and we're still young, Ty, if it's just a game, I feel like we both miss the kickoff. So my advice to you as a friend is don't depend on me to ever follow through on anything, Ty, but you should know this.
You'd go through hell for me.
I would absolutely go through hell for you.
How fitting is it on a college football podcast to lead things off with a little going away to college by our friends over at Blink 182?
Yeah, I was listening to Enema of the State, and not to go back to our emo and pop punk show, which, by the way, if there were ever a week to sort of follow up,
yep,
this would be the week. Because there aren't that many good games. But Enema of the State holds up very nicely.
It holds up real well. By the way, that emo show, the most downloaded show in the history of the Solid Verbal.
Is that true?
Most downloaded show in the history of the podcast with our friend Bill Barnwell. That, I think, means we need some sort of follow-up show this coming summer. I don't know what we'll talk about, but you guys are both an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. So we'll figure something out. But yeah, it did real well.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Ty.
Yes.
We have some news.
We do.
Not us personally, but in a way, us personally.
Okay.
The first, and it's very important and should be taken very seriously.
Should I play the sound?
Yes, please do.
We have breaking news!
Boop, 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 boop. Oh my God, the playoff rankings are out.
Did you say playoffs?
New Year's Eve will be awesome. The stars
Yeah.
The stars are all aligned, Dan. Give me the top four, will you?
Number one, Notre Dame.
How dare you?
In our hearts, Ty. Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Texas A&M are your top four.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, I'm fine with the top three. I probably would have Michigan ahead of Clemson at this point. But fine. Great. You know, Clemson has a couple of really impressive wins. Number four is Texas A&M.
Yes. Big talking point today, huh?
Yeah. And I'm not terribly worked up about Texas A&M being in the top four in early November. Good emo band, by the way.
Yeah. Agreed.
And even before we go any further, Ty, happy Novembert to you.
Thank you.
But Texas A&M, sure, if this is the best four, if this is the best four grouping we've got as a sport, our sport might be in a little bit of trouble.
Okay, so listen.
If these are the four teams we're sending to play against the college football Monstars.
Right.
We got a little bit on our hands.
So listen, A&M at 4 is of course the big talking point. They released the first set of college football playoff rankings. Right. It's about to be week 10. We've got numerous weeks to go before we settle on our eventual playoff 4. But what's it been? 3 years running now? For 3 years running or so, this committee, as you know, has been adamant about being a free-thinking, independent entity unconstrained by the bias of the lamestream media polls. Right?
Yeah. Or Tennessee games. Yes, continue.
Or Tennessee games.
Yeah.
A&M lost by 19 at Alabama, but they did win by 13 at Auburn, by 21 against Arkansas, and by 7 against Tennessee, which isn't looking as hot as it did back then. If you're comparing quality wins, Dan, they've got more than Washington.
They do.
Okay, in a purely literal sense, they've got more than Washington. Never mind the fact that Washington has demolished just about everybody on their schedule. Their best win was last week on the road at Utah by 7 points.
Right.
I don't believe that an undefeated Pac-12 champion in Washington gets left out here. I don't believe
so either.
However, on November 1st, a snapshot, a moment in time, I can understand it. Just based on the resume angle, sure, why not?
Because Texas A&M has been pretty good, but I don't think they can be considered one of the best four teams based on their actual performance on the field. But that's okay. You know what? the conversation is happening, and we are all just as well off as we were a couple days ago before this happened. Nothing really actually changes. So.
See, if Bill Hancock wanted to inject some modicum of self-awareness into this process,
yeah,
if he just wanted to troll the crap out of us, which he could, he could do something like he could mandate that the committee do something like this every Tuesday.
Sure,
like put a rando team in there, like A&M, or next Tuesday's election night. Why not put A&M 1 next Tuesday night? You want to throw people into a tizzy. That would do it, man.
I was just going to ask how you felt about the rest of the ranking.
I'm looking at it here. We've got
Penn
Washington
State is your number
5,
12 team. Yeah.
Washington at 5, Ohio State 6, Louisville 7, Wisconsin, Auburn, Nebraska. Penn State was high. Penn State being that high to me indicates that the committee likes advanced stats because, as we've said on this show, it seems like the advanced metrics really like Penn State. Even more so than I think I like Penn State as an alum. And even more so than maybe we should like Penn State, despite that win at home by 3 over Ohio State.
Even Penn Live commenters like, really, 12? Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I would probably have LSU ahead of Penn State right now, both in terms of statistics and eye test and just how they've played in October. But Penn State has had a wonderful and magic October. It's now over. Colorado at 15, I think feels right to me with how dominant they've been on defense, especially.
I'm actually pretty excited about them being that high. What are they in the AP poll, like 22?
They're 2021, somewhere in there, yeah.
They're in the low 20s. It's good to see them getting a bump as well. I think they're better than that low 20s ranking in the AP poll, so I'm glad they're getting some love here. And
I might put, I'd put West Virginia a lot higher.
Yeah.
At 6-1, I think they're a pretty complete looking team. And I'd put Virginia. I'd have Virginia Tech higher. I'd have Nebraska lower. Oklahoma State, who is 6-2 on paper and 7-1 in my heart. I'd have them a little bit higher. I might drop Wisconsin a little bit, but still in the top 10.
What's interesting to me, on a slightly different note, is how much Baylor got crushed. Baylor's got one loss. Not to say it was the best loss in the world, but it is one. They were looking pretty strong before that game against Texas. And to lose one game, drop all the way down to 17, that to me means virtually no shot for Baylor, even if they blow the doors off everyone on their schedule, just not enough strength of schedule for them.
Yeah, and listen, I'm always going to want to row that boat in the top 20. So Western Michigan coming off a very nice Tuesday night action win.
Yeah.
I might have them a little bit higher. That's right.
What else we got here? I saw that, and you're going to have to help me with this one.
Okay.
They're going to play some Friday Night Lights in the Big Ten?
Yes, we're going to get some Friday night games in the Big Ten starting next year, I believe. So in 2017, I also saw that Michigan has flat out refused to take part in this.
Nice.
So there's that. They don't want to schedule the bigger stadiums because it's not, I think it's only happening in October. They don't want to schedule the bigger stadiums. So that's your Ohio State, your Penn State, and your Michigan. So perhaps Ohio State and Penn State will play a road game. So it's a limited sort of agreement, and it's more exposure. It's to help out teams like Minnesota, who, by the way, Ty, Minnesota, they're not particularly good this year, but they're playing good defense.
They're very average,
good defense. Right, but it helps in recruiting. It helps in getting guys seen for the draft. It's not a bad thing to have more exposure for a conference. But as we've seen in some of the Pac-12 games, people sometimes struggle to get to stadiums. It's not as exciting to go to a Friday night game in a major conference in one of these big atmospheres. So it'll be interesting to see how this sort of experiment works.
Can I speak from a purely selfish perspective?
By all means.
If we're still doing the show next year, I don't like this one bit.
Why is that?
Friday nights are like the off night, man.
I mean, we already have games.
Friday nights are the night where you could take the missus out to a movie or a nice dinner or go for a stroll in the mall. Right. I don't know. You could do
in the mall
normal person things on a Friday.
And the asterisk on that comment is, we get you, our Mountain West pals. We know that Friday night is also a big college football night. I'm Mr. Mountain West, Ty. Did we get a request or did we not get a request for more Mountain West coverage?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Just saying, the people demand it, or the person demands it.
All right. The other thing I have here is that Joe Mixon, a beacon for morality in college football.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Apparently suspended due to something related to a parking violation. Do I understand this correctly?
You do understand this correctly. I don't know if a ton of details are out, but the quote is, he was frustrated as most of us are when we get a ticket. He tore the ticket up in front of the parking attendant and threw it on the ground.
I mean, who hasn't done that once or twice, right?
You probably can't be doing that, especially if you have the disciplinary record that Joe Mixon has. So he will be suspended for, I believe, the Iowa State game, and Oklahoma is also without Samaje Perine. So running back depth and youth will be tested.
It must have been a hell of a parking ticket.
Must have been a hell of a... Could you park? Did you have your car at Penn State?
I did, yeah.
How was the parking situation on campus? Really big college.
Yeah, on campus, not good. Off campus, a little bit better. Needed to be in like specific lots. All the lots filled up very quickly. Yeah, not a great car situation.
Right.
I understand his frustration. But if you're going to get suspended, I would hope that they at least put a boot on the car or something. Make it worth your while, right?
I used to park in the music school lot at the University of Oregon when I had my car there my junior and senior year. And there were probably, let's say 1,000 people wanted to park there at any given time, and there were like 350 spots. So you had to be super creepy and lurk. So like somebody would walk in and take out keys out of their pocket or their purse or something, and you would just be in your car, just like, yes, I'm going to follow you to your parking spot, and then I'm going to attempt to beat out other people for your parkings. I don't know why I talk like that in my inner monologue, but that's what it was like.
Okay. Well, hopefully he gets that sorted out. That's all I got news-wise. Is there anything else? You want to talk games?
I had a weird stomach thing yesterday.
Okay, you want to talk games?
Let's do that.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
All right, Dan Rubenstein. Here is the drill, my man. I said it on Sunday, and I'm standing by it tonight. I received a number of requests from people out there, everyday Joes and Janes,
the folks,
the verballers, wanting me to use my reverse jinx in a coordinated fashion.
All over the place.
Yeah, it was. I have made my selection, which I will unveil later. I'm only picking one. Someone asked me to reverse jinx the Cubs. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that's powerful enough to transcend college football. So we're just going to stick to what I know here.
We're recording this right before Game 7.
Yeah,
so
I'm not going to go
no
there.
idea what happens as we're recording this. I just want to be on the record as somebody marrying a lovely lady from Chicago in the not so distant future. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are going to win today.
There you go.
Cubs go.
Okay, yeah. I will unveil my selection later.
Okay, good.
This is a fine week for you to get some stuff done early.
Oh my God.
Bigger games, and there are few, are later on, 7:30, 8. I'm looking here. There are some scattered throughout the day. Depends who your team is. Yeah. But by and large, the big ones of national significance are later on. And there aren't a whole lot of them. Let's go to 3:30 on CBS.
Yes.
Florida, a 5.5-point road favorite against Arkansas, Dan. I look at this game and I say this is a weird bellwether for the Gators because they're coming in on the heels of that big win in the River City Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, they're on the road in Fayetteville. It sort of jumps off the page like a pop-up book.
Okay.
How bad Arkansas's rush defense has been this season. And their rushing offense has been pretty bad, too. The only bright spot really has been Austin Allen. And to me, that's not bright enough a spot to feel really good about them here, even at home.
Especially since he has a bit of a bum knee, even coming off a bye week, coming off of the Auburn game, which Arkansas, how did they fare in that game, Ty?
Yeah, no.
Well, and how many points did Arkansas score?
3.
Yeah, that's right, Ty. ABC 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Austin Allen's got a bum knee. It is nice that Arkansas is coming off of a bye. They're playing at home. I believe, what are they, 5.5 point dogs?
I got 5.5 here, yeah.
5.5. Florida's coming off of a 2-touchdown win, but not all that impressive offensive performance against Georgia. And the offense has been sort of average. They're a little bit thin at running back heading into this. They're still beat up on defense, but they also appear to arguably have the best defense in the conference, going against an Arkansas offense that has struggled to be a balanced attack. And like you said, Arkansas is horribly inefficient defensively. Do we dare go against Novembert, though?
Ooh.
Is that something we'd like to do?
I'm playing it.
Do it.
Borderline
It's Novembert.
Borderline erotic.
Feels so good. Get that little turkey gobble in there. Yeah.
I'm going against Novembert. I need to see it proven before I just blindly go into it. 31-14 Florida.
Okay.
Go Gator. Yeah.
I'm with you. On paper, I think all of this bodes really well for Florida. This is the kind of game they should win by 14. You hold them with your defense. You grind it out with Jordan Scarlett. Every instinct I have tells me to go Florida here, which is why, Dan,
Oh, no.
in the spirit of what we've been doing all season long, I feel like I got to make Arkansas my home dog of the week.
Oh, no.
The Yakos home dog of the week.
It makes almost no sense here, Dan. But my
I would argue the
instincts,
use of the word almost. Yeah.
my instincts have not served me well this season at all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go against every inclination I have here, and I'm going to say Arkansas plus the points, and I'm not even going to question it. I'm just going to go against my own judgment.
Ty, would it be fair to say that even though your mind's telling you no, your body's telling you yes?
Yeah, a little genie in a bottle there.
Mind's telling me no.
Yeah.
Okay. So we disagree right off the bat.
Sort of, but yes.
Yeah.
Officially, yes.
Yeah.
7:30 on Big Ten Network.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State at home, a 7.5-point favorite against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Dan, I got a confession to make. We're all friends here, right?
Yeah. I thought you were going to keep going with the Foo Fighters, but continue.
Can I be honest here?
This is what we are here to do, Ty.
I am truly, madly, deeply, forever scarred from being at this game in 2004.
Uh-huh.
That was the game that Iowa won 6-4. Do you remember that game?
Okay. No, Ty. I imagine a lot of people listening did not remember that.
I find it repulsive that you don't remember this game. I remember the day, October 23rd, 2004. I was there. I'll never forget it. Precious few moments in your life, Dan, when you realize in real time that you're probably never going to pass this way again.
Mm-hmm.
That you're seeing or doing something that's going to be significant in your life forever. I saw Notre Dame USC in 2005. Probably the best game I'm ever going to see in my life, the Bush Push.
Yeah.
You just got engaged. You're about to get married. I've already done both those. When you're in the moment, when you're living a major life event, and you know it, that's really significant.
What a preamble to this dumb game. Continue.
I remember being in the stands for this Penn State-Iowa game back in 2004, saying to my friends that this is the worst game we're ever going to see with our own eyes.
Yeah.
And since then, we've all moved on. We got jobs and moved away, different states, cities, and whatnot.
We all watched that Penn State that Pitt Oregon State Sun Bowl.
Exactly. I'm not sure any one of us in the stadium that day will ever truly live to forget about this game.
Okay.
Just a terrible experience, Dan. So I'm going to take Iowa to cover the point spread because something about it always feels close here. I just can't get over that feeling.
Iowa's defense has been pretty good. The big thing about Iowa this year, even in their struggles, they prevent big plays. And Penn State, especially in October, under the leadership of Joe Moorhead, of course, of the Fordham Rams.
Joe Mo.
Their offense has become more explosive than it has been these past couple years. And Saquon Barkley has had a huge October, turned that running game around this past month. And I think they just edge out Penn State when they're healthy. They play the run way better than they did in September, and they appear to be, I think it's fair to say, Penn State right now, top 15, 20 defense in the country.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think that bodes particularly well for an Iowa team that has struggled to score points against the better teams on their schedule. So I have 24-14 Penn State.
Okay, so you're going Penn State to cover.
Yes. I think it'd be a lot more interesting if it were in Iowa City, which I don't say about a lot of things. But I'm going Penn State here, 24-14.
Yeah, I'm going to take Iowa to cover. It's not something I feel very confident in, because
Right.
Penn State over the last 4 games has totally turned a corner. No doubt about it. But as you alluded, Iowa's still pretty solid. They're coming off a bye. They play good defense. They're not going to knock you over with offense, but they're not going to beat themselves. That's kind of the hallmark of a Kirk Ferentz team. So I'm going to say Penn State wins. Iowa keeps it close. Could see this one being something like 28-24, 28-21 even. Get that little hook there, a little backdoor cover maybe by Iowa. Something like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for the big. This is the sub story, the sub headline of the Iowa season. Now that they're really not competing for the division crown, Kirk Ferentz versus mathematics. I want to see him down 4 with 3 seconds left, like just attempt a field goal.
Yeah,
I want to see that. I want to see Kirk Ferentz versus mathematics, and we like Kirk Ferentz, but
Kirk Ferentz
that's the story to me.
In a mathletics competition against John Urschel.
I don't think it'll be particularly close.
Yeah. Okay. We disagree once more.
We disagree again.
Do you have the time right now, by the way?
My time right now, I'm seeing a hair past 5:30, 5:31 Eastern Standard Time.
Might you be?
Are we standard or day is still?
I have no idea. I think it's daylight.
Yeah, I think we're still day. And when does the time change? No, it's just I'm very bad at this.
All I know is that you fall back and spring forward. That's all I know. Daylight, standard, doesn't matter to me. It's all the same.
Right.
Are you judging the current time? Are you reading the current time on your MVMT watch?
Of course I am. I have a beautiful MVMT watch. It is clean. I've gotten compliments on it. It's light, but still sort of nice feeling on my wrist. The wrist feel tie is elite.
Yeah, you need good wrist feel, to be honest with you. I got one. You got one. When I came up to do the live show with you, you were wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just making that up.
No, I've worn it every day since I received it.
This is a company that was started by 2 broke college kids. They wanted to wear stylish watches, but couldn't afford them. So they started their own watch company. Like, duh, why not?
I've never had that thought. Just so you know. Don't duh me, Ty.
It's not all that dissimilar from how we started the Solid Verbal.
Yes, true.
We wanted something that we would listen to. We started a podcast. So mvmtwatches.com/solid is where you go if you want to get 15% off. Today, you get free shipping, free returns. Movement watches is what they're known as. They start at just $95 at a department store. You try to get a watch like this, you're looking at like $400 or $500. Movement figured out that by selling online, they're able to cut out the middlemen. They can cut out the retail markup. They can give you the best possible price. The watches have a classic design, quality construction, styled minimalism. Over 500,000 watches have been sold in over 160 countries. So they're doing all right, Dan. I would urge everyone, at a minimum, to just go on out to mvmtwatches.com/solid. You can browse their inventory there. The watch, I'm not kidding, has a clean design. Seriously, I've been getting compliments, as you have as well, ever since I put it on my wrist. Now is the time to step up your watch game, and you could do it for 15% off now with free shipping, with free returns. You go to mvmtwatches.com/solid. Join the movement.
Timely conversation, because this Saturday night before I go to bed, I will be setting my watch back an hour because Sunday, November 6th at 2 a.m.
Yep.
Fall back.
Let's go to 8 p.m. Saturday evening. Let's go to ABC, Dan. Let's talk a little bit about the baby Buckeyes. So we got an interesting situation here. We got 2 top 10 teams in the first college football playoff rankings. We got Ohio State coming off a few hard-fought games. We got Nebraska coming off their first loss in overtime on the road against Wisconsin.
Yep.
The point spread here is 17 in favor of Ohio State. Now, they're at home, but this is an awful lot of points. 17 against a fellow top 10 team, Dan.
Ty, are you going to say 17 again? That's a reference to a Zac Efron piece of cinema.
I was not going to, no.
Okay.
What is your first instinct here? How do you feel about Ohio State right now? How does Ohio State make you feel as a man?
uncomfortable. Ohio State makes me feel that their offense should be playing on the same level as their defense has been more often, I would say.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's been unable to generate big plays, which is disappointing given the experience of JT Barrett and the talent, not necessarily the experience. They're certainly beat up along the offensive line, but it feels like they should be deep and talented enough at so many places that a team with the struggles scoring the ball and becoming an efficient offense that Nebraska has had, those struggles, it's odd to me that Ohio State is not able to capitalize more on these types of teams, as good as Nebraska is. But the fact is, it's in the horseshoe. Nebraska, off their loss to Wisconsin in overtime, where is this game, Ty?
Game's in Ohio State.
Okay, because on our document, you have at Ohio State and at Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Which is fun. Maybe it's a VR type game. I think I'm leaning Ohio State outright, but Nebraska covering in this game because I do like the Nebraska defense a good amount. They're healthier on offense, and we saw the difference that does make. I really like Nebraska secondary, and I like that matchup against JT Barrett and the inability to generate bigger plays. So I'm going to go Ohio State 30-17.
See, my first instinct is to take the points here as well. And I agree with you. I feel like I want more out of that Ohio State offense, at least in the passing game.
How much more is it going to take?
They've just not been good throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah.
They're fine as a rushing team, but JT Barrett, he's not a newcomer to this offense. Lord knows they've got weapons out wide. I just want more from him as a downfield passer, and that's just an element of his game that's really left a lot to be desired. You watch the Penn State game, you go and you watch the Northwestern game, just more of the same. So my inclination is to say points here, which means if I'm going to follow suit, I should go Ohio State. And I think I am going to go Ohio State. I am going to lay the points.
Wow.
Because I like Nebraska. I'm just kind of having a hard time buying in on them being like the 10th best team in the country, whatever they are.
We've disagreed on literally every game.
Not when their best win so far is either Northwestern or Indiana. Nebraska's better than they were a year ago. They are.
I like Nebraska. Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
I'm not a big believer in body language and looking too much into body language. Does it seem that Urban Meyer is noticeably more miserable than usual?
You know who he reminds me of? And I think I made this comment to Solid Wife Kate during the Penn State game.
Who's that?
The way he was nervously pacing the sidelines.
Yeah.
Maybe chewing at his fingernails, sort of looking down and perhaps talking to himself or to someone in his ear. He reminded me a lot of Crazy John Nash in A Beautiful Mind.
Look, he's always going to be intense, and a number of these excellent coaches are always going to be intense and seem like they're always angry and stuff like that. And it's one thing to be angry, and I get that. I get, Nick Saban ripping off his headset and throwing it down and getting in the face of one of his players who just screwed up. That's fine. That's just a way of life. There's just something, there's a misery to Urban Meyer that it just seems denser than it has in years past. I don't know. He just doesn't seem happy. Not happy, but just the depth of him is just palpable. I don't know.
Do we want to start the Tom Herman to Ohio State rumors yet?
I don't think it's as far off as you think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he does look like he's been a bit miserable so far this season, and it has been a challenge for him, I think, to get that offense to the next year. That's what I'm waiting for, and I haven't seen. Back to my point about Nebraska, they're a better team. I'm just not wholly impressed by beating Northwestern and or Indiana. Decent wins in their own right, but I need to see more. I need to see a solid effort here. And I'm guessing Vegas feels the same way because they're a 17-point dog against a really good team.
Yeah.
So they'll have a chance to prove their mettle here. I think some big plays in the running game with Mike Weber, Curtis Samuel. I think JT Barrett gets it going with his legs. I think Ohio State's defense can take away the run and force Tommy Armstrong into high pressure situations, which is not always a good spot for Tommy Armstrong. So I'm going to say Ohio State wins this one and covers. Give me a final score of 38-17 in favor of Ohio State.
Oh, 3 touchdowns better than Nebraska. Wow. Okay.
Going against my initial instinct, Dan. That's what I'm doing here.
Right.
All right.
Fair enough.
And then the big tamale, huh?
Pitt, Miami, 12:30.
No, we're talking about Alabama at LSU. 8 p.m. CBS game. Alabama's a 7.5 point road favorite, Dan. It has been an awful long time. Way too long, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Since some enterprising sports writer out there put together a think piece on whether Alabama could beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, have not seen it. And it's probably because Alabama has a true freshman quarterback who has struggled some through the air. It hasn't affected things, but no. And the Jags have a pretty good defense, right?
Sure.
I have no idea.
Not last
week, Am I going to sit here
sure.
and pretend I watch the NFL? I'm done doing that.
So look, we've been kicking this question around for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Are you an Auburn guy? Are you an LSU guy? Which one of these teams do you think takes down Bama or could take down Alabama? I feel like the answer is probably neither. But if the question is A or B,
the question
Auburn,
is which, Ty?
If the question is one or the other, you don't have an option C. My instinct would be to go LSU.
I am leaning more towards Auburn because I think they're a little bit more complete, and I say that knowing full well what Leonard Fournette can do to another human being at full speed.
Yeah.
But the fact that the context of these matchups is such that LSU is playing at home, and LSU is better right now at generating bigger plays. They're right around the same at stopping those big plays as Alabama. And they're both good in the red zone. They both struggle to score in the red zone. So it sort of points to maybe a kicking game element in this game. And we know about Alabama's kicking struggles. I'm just going gut here, Ty. I've done it all year long, and it served me pretty well. In a big game with a big defense at home, in a big, emotional, loud, crazed spot like Death Valley is, you take the points. Ooh. You simply take the points, and you move on, and you sort of happily take the stack of advantages that brings. But in this case, Ty, you and I know full well that Ed Orgeron, as an interim coach, doesn't shy away from these big games.
No.
Doesn't take kindly to losing. So in this specific case, not only am I taking the points,
you're going outright.
Dakojo 2017 LSU.
Whoa.
That went Scottish. That went like an Irish brogue. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, that was
weird.
20-17
LSU. Tigers went out right at home.
Wow. I mean, I get it. I get the logic. We reference from time to time this super secret spreadsheet that we have.
Yes.
And what we tend to look at is how defenses are doing against the run on a per carry basis.
Mm-hmm.
On a per carry basis, Alabama is number 1. LSU is number 2.
Not bad.
I think that's of note here because both Alabama and LSU are running teams. Bama runs it about 60% of the time. LSU runs it about 59% of the time. So they're pretty equal. Ooh. We're really looking at strength against strength here. And I think I agree with you in that it makes it a low scoring affair. Now, there might be Alabama people out there saying, well, we could pass it too. Lord knows you can pass it, but specifically, you're running the ball 60% of the time. You got a variety of different ways you can do it. You got 5 guys with at least 35 carries this season. 4 of them have at least 50 carries and are averaging at least 6 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on there, and you got a lot of talent. I am going to pick Alabama to win and cover because, first off, my initial read was LSU. So we're going to go against the grain today. I think even if Bama's rushing game is totally negated, which I doubt, but if it happens, I know they can pass it as well. And it might not be explosive, but I do trust Jalen Hurts a little bit more to make a big throw, way more than I do Danny Etling. Even though I'm a huge fan of the Purdue takeover in the SEC, I think I've got more trust in Jalen Hurts at this point and his ability to throw, certainly off of their rushing attack, than I do Danny Etling. So I'm going to go Alabama. I feel like it's a low-scoring game. I'm going to say they win this one by a 24-14 score.
Wow. I would probably waste an opportunity to use a time machine by going back 2 years to my past self, sneaking into my apartment, rustling myself awake, and just like, shh, it's you from the future. Danny Etling is going to be a huge factor in a giant college football game in 2 years. Goodbye.
Could you get odds on that back then?
Oh my God.
Way
How
back
weird
when,
would
in
that be?
2014? Could someone give you odds?
You better remember the name Danny Etling because it's seriously not going away.
Danny freaking Etling.
Yeah.
Still better than Brandon Harris, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yes. Yes, I believe so.
So those are the big ones.
Yeah.
To reiterate.
So did we just disagree on all of these games?
I've got Arkansas plus the points. I've got Iowa plus the points. I've got Ohio State minus 17.
Disagree.
And I've got Alabama minus 7.5.
Oh, man. Straight disagree.
We do have some other noteworthy games if you'd like to discuss those.
Let's hop on it. Yeah.
Here's the problem when you do what we do. You have to put together a list because you're over in New York. I'm here in PA. We need to put together a list to kind of stay on the same page and figure out what games we're going to talk about. So typically on like a Monday or a Sunday night, sometimes a Tuesday morning, I'll put a list together of all the big games or what appears to be the most noteworthy games. Yep. We've had some people complain they don't like it. We do the best we can. This week, it's all other games. There's only a small handful of games that I think are of true giant national significance. We've got a whole laundry list here of other noteworthy games. So let's try and go through these as quick as we can. Rapid fire, give a few thoughts on each and then move on. Sound good?
I'd love to. Yeah.
Thursday at 9, UCLA at Colorado. Colorado, an 11.5 point favorite. Dan, the news bullet here that we didn't mention at the top of the show is that Josh Rosen is now out for the year.
Yeah.
With a shoulder injury, which is a real bummer. Jim Mora's job is supposedly not in danger. It has been a disappointing season for UCLA. I wonder if they're packing it in. And my only other bullet here before officially picking Colorado to cover this point spread is how crazy it is that we're now at a point where Colorado is a double-digit favorite against UCLA.
That's incredible. And I would disagree with you again, just because you said Jim Mora's job is not in danger. I would hold that Jim Mora's job is always in danger of being abandoned by Jim Mora. I would say that is the danger. I'm taking Colorado here. I think they're a couple touchdowns better. Josh Rosen out for the year. We hope he heals up 100%. But UCLA, with their inability to run the ball and their recent struggles on defense, I think Colorado in playing for the Pac-12 South in a big emotional Thursday night game at Folsom Field. I'm going with the Buffs here. 31-17.
31-17. All right.
Yeah.
Saturday at high noon, Wisconsin -7 at Northwestern. Dan, it's an interesting game. It's been.
I like this game a lot.
Yeah, it's been a murderer's row for Wisconsin. 4 straight weeks of one-score games. I feel like you got to go points here. I feel like you got to go Northwestern, not to win outright, but to at least cover a spread. Maybe a game like we saw a week ago against Ohio State, like a 24-20 type of game.
Yeah, I don't even think there are going to be that many points. I like Wisconsin here, 20-17. I think Northwestern is pretty good. I love Austin Carr. So I'm going to take the points. So we're going to go with first choice school covering against the backup school.
All right. Saturday at high noon.
Safety school, excuse me. Yeah.
I received many requests to give my reverse jinx powers to Texas here.
It's a nooner.
Yeah, it is a nooner. It's at high noon. It's in Lubbock.
You know what I'm doing at noon, Ty? Wedding invitation shopping.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. So
you're going to go
my window.
You're going to go Facebook invites?
No, I am not going Facebook invite. I'm going hard copy, Ty. We're talking about thick card stock here.
You going calligraphy?
I would imagine there will be a calligraphy component. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Keep me posted.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be missing a great game here. Texas is on the road. They're a 3.5 point road favorite in Lubbock against Texas Tech. Dan, how many times have we pronounced Charlie Strong dead?
So is he a zombie? Is that what you're implying?
I feel like we're getting to zombie Charlie Strong status.
2 or 3 times this year, yeah. Probably 2 or 3 times in the second half of the Notre Dame game.
The win over Baylor last week was a bit of a stay of execution. This one could be the knife to the heart.
Wow.
It could be. I'm afraid of what Deontay Foreman's going to do to this Texas Tech defense, which is why I'm sorry, folks. I can't reverse jinx Texas. I'm going to pick them to win and cover this point spread. I think Foreman goes off and has like 300 yards.
I agree. Yeah, I think Texas wins this game. 38-30.
Saturday at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
This is your whoop whoop, somebody in Vegas knows something type of game.
Kansas State's tough at home.
They are, but Oklahoma State's a team that, you and I have been talking about. Just throw that Central Michigan loss out the window. And, if things break correctly, perhaps we should be talking about the Cowboys as a fringe playoff team. Somebody in Vegas knows something about this game. Oklahoma State's on the road in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple, and they are a 2.5-point dog. Oklahoma State was ranked, 18th in the first poll, Dan?
That sounds right.
Statistically, there's a lot here saying to go with Oklahoma State, but something about this point spread really spooks me. So I'm going to go Kansas State minus 2.5. Feels like somebody knows something here.
Okay, well, Kansas State has beaten Texas Tech. They've beaten Texas. They've beaten a not-so-good Iowa State team. They gave West Virginia all it could handle. They lost by 1. They played Stanford tough in the second half of that game before Christian McCaffrey ran off last minute. Kansas State's pretty good. What is it, Snyder Family Stadium?
Sure.
That's what it's called, I believe. I'm going to give those points, Ty.
Yeah.
I'm going to give those points. Something seems amiss. I'm going to go with the home team. I think they win a close, ugly game, 23-20.
I'm going to go next to Saturday at 3:30. Another Big 12 game. We've got TCU at Baylor. Got a bunch of requests here. Our friend Arden, she messaged me. Very thoughtful message. Wants me to reverse jinx Baylor.
Okay. TCU's excuse me. Ty's playoff team, TCU.
Yes, thank you.
They're just kind of butt.
I am going to go the complete opposite direction here on TCU. Baylor's a 7.5-point home favorite. I think Baylor wins and covers. I have no faith in TCU at this point. Going a complete opposite way. The bandwagon has crashed. I've jumped off, and I'm going to go Baylor here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baylor as well. I think they win by 13. I'm going to say 35-24. So they win by 11. And I am sorry, Arden. I believe I'm her podcast host crush, Ty.
Are you?
I believe that's a thing. Yep. I think she alerted us to that.
Are people doing that these days?
Absolutely. Ty, you have your adoring fans as well.
I don't think I have. Do I?
Absolutely, you do. Oh my God, Ty. You can't walk the streets of Taipei. Because your name is the beginning, and it's because
I'm blushing over here, Dan. Thank you.
You look Asian. And,
Thank you. Saturday, 7 p.m. Florida State on the road at NC State. Dan, they are a 5.5-point favorite here. I would love to take the Wolfpack. However, they got that ND stank all over them, don't they?
They do have ND stank.
I'm inclined to lock up Florida State. I'm a little nervous. They're a road favorite, but when you got that ND stank on you, Dan, I think I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Lock of the week.
I'm going to do it, Dan. I'm going to do it. The ND stank is real. The ND stank is potent. The ND stank is quite stanky.
Yeah, you got to spray for it constantly.
So I'm going to go Florida State here minus 5.5. Doesn't feel like it's enough points.
I'm going to go Florida State here as well. I think they're getting into a nice rhythm offensively, even with what Clemson was able to do against them. I think Dalvin Cook goes completely off against the Wolfpack. I like Florida State here by a couple touchdowns.
Saturday, 7 p.m., Oregon at USC. USC is 17-point favorite. Dan, your over-under here is actually 78.5.
That is many numbers.
That is many numbers. I'm inclined to go over and USC here. I'm wondering how you feel.
I'm going to take the points, but I like USC outright. I think they win, and I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to say USC ends up taking this 38-27. So that's 65 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to go back and forth for a little bit because Oregon's going to need big plays, and Tony Brooks-James has been good, and he's been a home run hitter. Justin Herbert, obviously, is responsible for a number of big plays, the true freshman quarterback, but Ronald Jones has secretly been one of the best, probably in a good running back year, one of the best 7 or 8 running backs in the country, and Oregon is still just too raw and forgiving up front on defense to stop USC on the ground for too long. And Sam Darnold's a really good quarterback, so I think USC pulls away 38-27.
Saturday, 10:30, Pac-12 12 after dark. Washington -17 on the road at Cal, week after Utah. Any body blow, Dan? No, I don't think so.
Absolutely
either.
not.
Yeah.
Washington was left out of the college football playoff, and I think they'll be playing upset. And on top of that, they're already the most efficient offensive team in the country. Cal's not a particularly difficult place to play without a particularly difficult defense. I think Washington wins this game by 4 touchdowns. I think they're winning this game like 45-17. I don't think Cal's particularly good.
Cal's a fine team, but Myles Gaskin's going to go for 2 bills in this game.
He's going to be big. Yep.
He's going to go for 2 bills here. Okay. Let's travel back in time, Dan. Can I get the sound? Thank you, sir. Saturday at 11:30 a.m.
Early start.
Early start here. Notre Dame and Navy being played in Jacksonville.
No venue could hold this game, but an NFL one with so much demand. Yeah.
No venue, November. Notre Dame, 6.5 points, the favorite, Dan. You know, I abstained from making a Notre Dame pick last week. It actually worked out quite well.
Hey, good for you.
I'm going to do the same again this week.
Sorry, Notre Dame makes me yawn. Continue.
What are your thoughts here? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame blows Navy out lock of the week.
Oh, you dog.
Lock of the week.
You're such a jerk.
This is mostly because I enjoyed Josh Adams last week, and I think he's going to be able to run on Navy.
Okay. Saturday, 12:30. Kickoff, we've got Georgia Tech at North Carolina. North Carolina at home, they are a 10.5 point favorite. This is actually a very interesting matchup. Nobody has said a peep about Georgia Tech. I would think that UNC should win this game because Tech's defense is downright bad. However,
Slava Medvedzenko.
Georgia Tech can run the football, and they will run the football on North Carolina. They will milk the clock. So 10.5 points feels like a UNC win, but I'm going to go Georgia Tech plus the points here. I think it's a ball control kind of game for them.
I disagree. I think North Carolina runs a ton of offense up into Georgia Tech. I think they win by 17 here. I think this score is 41-24.
Saturday at 12:30, we've got Pitt at Miami. Dan gave you a little bit of a head fake, made you think maybe it was our big tamale game of the week. It is not. Pitt at Miami. Miami a 3.5 point favorite. Bit of a rough stretch right now for the Canes. They've lost 4 in a row. This is probably a 3-point game, one way or the other. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the points and go Pitt.
I'm going to take those points as well. I'm more encouraged by Pitt at this point than I am by Miami overall. The defense has been getting better. I love how ferocious they are up front. Always love James Conner. Nate Peterman doesn't make a ton of mistakes and playing relatively mistake-free travels. So I'm going H2P here. They win outright.
Saturday at 7:30, Georgia. Why did I put this game on the list? Georgia -3 at Kentucky. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Your second place team in the SEC East, Kentucky.
You're damn right.
Georgia is only favored by 3 here. Daniel, what do you think?
I'm going to take... I haven't thought about this game at all. I am going to be very honest with you. I think Georgia might be bad. I think that's a thing that we should probably make peace with. I'm going to go with Kentucky here at home. Home dogs, scrappy. They're winning games that we didn't think they would win. They're better than we anticipated. That doesn't say much, but I'm going with Kentucky, and I'm eager to learn more about the Wildcats.
Are they your home dog of the week?
They're my home dog of the week.
Whoa!
The Yakos. Home dog of the week.
Okay, getting saucy.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. And finally, Saturday at 3:30. Oregon State at Stanford. Stanford at home. They are a 14.5 point favorite, Dan. I read to you from an email we received from our friend Jude, who listens to the show. Here is an excerpt from a thoughtful message. He says, as an Oregon State fan, I don't ask for much in life. When we had Mike Riley, we'd automatically extend his contract for 2 years every time he led the team to 6-6. We're having a couple down seasons as we rebuild with Gary Anderson at the helm. We're on our 3rd string quarterback. We've come within 5 of shocking both Utah and Washington State, and we beat Cal outright. In overtime, we are fighting hard, Dan. Let's use the occult forces. Let's use them. Let's go ahead and pick Stanford. Stanford minus 14.5. Oregon State. I hope the reverse jinx works for you.
I'm just going to take Oregon State here. I think Stanford's butt.
Yeah,
and Oregon State's not great, but they're scrappier than Stanford is. And I posted this a couple of days ago on Twitter. In terms of running backs, Power 5 running backs who have carried it, I think, at least 40 times in the month of October. It's not Dalvin Cook. It's not Darius Geis. It's not Royce Freeman. It's not any of these guys, any of these Power 5 running backs leading the nation in yards per carry. But it is Oregon State's Ryan Nall.
Wow.
I hope it's Nall and not Nail. He's a bigger dude, but he can run. He put up over 200 yards against Cal. He had a very nice day on the ground against Wazoo. Didn't play against Washington, didn't do much against Utah. But I think Oregon State will be able to control the ground enough. And this is a really good Stanford defense. That's the shame of this all, that the Stanford 2016 season is. Now they've swapped in Keller Christ, and that hasn't made that big of a difference. They can get the ball a little bit more to Christian McCaffrey, but I think Oregon State hangs around and they only loses by a touchdown. 20-13 Stanford.
I'm going Stanford here, Dan.
In a wily way.
In a wily way, that's right. A coy way.
Coy.
So we covered 17 games here.
We did.
17 games. It might be the most we've ever covered, and it's a down week. That's what you get here on a free podcast download with the Solid Verbal.
Absolutely. You feel good about all these games, Ty?
No.
Any other?
No.
Do you want to talk? Do you want to deep dive Mountain West? Are you ready to deep dive Mountain West, the Mountain Best Conference?
I don't know if we're ever ready to deep dive Mountain Best.
Just among games we did just neglected to mention. We mentioned the Western Michigan win, Oklahoma and the running backs against Iowa State. I think we're still in for a weird Ames game, but that may have been the Baylor game. Boise State's going to beat San Jose State. A&M Mississippi State. Any strong feelings there?
Nope.
It's in Stark Vegas.
Nope.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Vandy, Auburn. Two good defenses. Obviously, Vandy struggling offensively, but it should be a good showcase if Auburn is able to consistently move the ball both on the ground and through the air against a tough Vanderbilt defense and hopefully Zach Cunningham. Louisville, BC. Anything? BC on an ACC winning streak? Come on, Ty.
I think Louisville feels a bit behind the 8 ball, being so they were ranked 7th, and I could see them ripping off all the limbs from Boston College.
Duke, Virginia Tech. Any chance for weirdness there? Of course, they have the ND stink. Duke does.
Yeah,
Yet to win an ACC game.
I'm very pro Virginia Tech right now.
Okay, I think I'm pro Virginia Tech as well, but the line is relatively small. Duke they play tough. Maryland, Michigan. DJ Durkin against his old team. DJ Durkin. I screwed that up, but okay. Any thoughts about that?
I'm gonna go Michigan.
Arizona, Wazoo. Does Arizona get their offensive act together? Probably
not. They've been a mess
Wazoo,
all year.
As complete as they've been these past few years. Anything there? Arizona, Wazoo.
Nothing? No. I'm gonna go Wazoo.
All right. I'm looking around. I'm trying to find some meat on this college football weekend bone.
That's all we got.
Army Air Force?
Nope.
Option game? Nothing? You don't feel anything about that game?
No,
Indiana Rutgers?
I'm pro Army. I'm pro Indiana because they're playing Rutgers.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Can Illinois beat Michigan State?
No.
Illinois there's higher in the standings in the Big Ten than Michigan State.
No.
Ty.
Let's not get crazy here. Come on.
Only one of these teams, when taking roll, can Jim Delaney see when he asks, will everybody who's won one Big Ten game or greater raise their hand? And our boy Mark D'Antonio can do no such thing. He can do no such thing. Virginia Wake, Ty, you're going to be glued to this?
No. Claw fence, though. Claw fence.
Claw fence, baby. It's more of the claw defense. I don't know what that would be called. I'm not seeing much. You got Hilltoppers, Ty? Western Kentucky, FIU?
Why are we talking about these games?
I'm just going through everything I can. Wyoming, I think, is going to roll Utah State, who's been disappointingly bad this year. All right, Ty, with that, I have a request. And I don't ask a lot of things for you.
Are we going to do thank yous? What do you want to do?
We're going to get into thank yous in a little bit.
Oh, okay. This is different.
But my request for you is, will you please drop that sliding, that sticky, that honey pot?
Honey pot?
I don't know. Will you drop that phallic?
Oh, God.
Drum and clap.
You're a disaster.
What do you think a fife is, Ty?
Somebody agreed to marry you. You got to clean up your act at some point, Dan.
Can I tell you, she hates when I make the sexy jokes.
I believe it. I hate when you do it.
She does not like it when I make the sexy jokes.
All right, what do we got here?
We have Bucknell, the Nellies at Lehigh, your dominant Lehigh Engineers.
That's right.
30, and you have an announcement to make.
I have breaking news about this game, Dan. Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to be there.
Hell yeah, you are.
It's such a bad week elsewhere. I am going to be at Bucknell at Lehigh. Lehigh, by the way, ranked now in the top 25 of the FCS coaches poll. They were the biggest riser this past week after a huge win a week ago. This is a big home spot here against the Nellies. I will be reporting in tweet form from this game.
Is the stadium on campus?
Stadium's a bit off the main campus, but it's very nearby, yeah.
Is it anywhere near where we drank?
It is not.
Bethlehem?
It's not near where we drank. The stadium is on the other side of the mountain.
What's the name of that bar? It was like the library or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It was like a cool speakeasy. I liked it a lot. So
yeah.
If you want to go on a Dan and Ty reality tour.
Okay.
Are you tailgating?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided.
All right. Colgate Fordham in my neck of the woods playing
Yeah.
the Bronx Gators, taking on the Rams, 1 p.m. I got to go Fordham big here.
Are you going to this game?
I'm not, Ty, because, again, I am shopping for wedding events.
Oh, right.
Shopping.
Lame. I'm going to go Fordham here. Got to go Fordham.
I'm going to go Fordham as well. Multi-sport field, of course, the Hornets' nest of the Patriot League. Holy Cross at Georgetown, another 1 p.m.er. Are these the only 3 games?
I believe so. See, this is my problem with the Patriot League.
Yeah.
I'm afraid they're not going to have enough conference games to decide who wins.
Yeah, lazy.
Have you looked at the standings? They haven't played nearly enough games here.
They have not yet met the minimum number of games. I'm going Georgetown here. Slowly, but steadily, the Hoyas are improving.
Georgetown's terrible, Dan. They're terrible this season.
I don't care what you say.
It's a battle of bad teams in the Pat League. I'm going to go Crusaders here in honor of our good friend Caroline.
I had lunch today with the guy I've shouted out multiple times, Monty McNair.
Oh, yeah?
Former Princeton receiver.
Whoa.
We were talking about Ivy and Pat League matchups, and he could not have been more thrilled that I think he had 4 or 5 career receptions for Princeton. So he was thrilled with the shout out over literally every single other contributing Princeton football player.
Wow.
So, yeah, Monty McNair of the Houston Rockets.
All right, let's
he does work for the Rockets.
Let's thank some people.
Yeah, let's thank, you know what? Here's what people do that we cannot be more grateful for. We sort of joke around on this show a lot, but we are eternally grateful that all sorts of people take the time to like the show, share the show, retweet the show, throw us a review on iTunes.com/solidverber, solidverbal. Dane Mitro, longtime supporter. Johnny Olenek, very longtime supporter. Matthew Cremens. These are all very familiar names. These guys and gals are all great. Of course, Caroline from, I don't know if she has a last name. She might just be Caroline.
Yeah, she's like Pele. Yeah.
Yeah. Neil Ballew, I've thanked before. Adam Newberry of Newberry Comics. Paul McTaggart, a name we consistently love. Brian Hooper. Josh Lipka. Samuel Watts is obviously quite familiar. Mama H.
Yeah.
Just telling people down at Wegmans, you got to listen to the Verbal. My sweet baby boy Ty is part of it. So Thank you to all of those people. Ken Persons, of course, as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate everyone standing by our side here through now almost 10 weeks of the college football season. Gosh, it's hard to believe we are here already. Hard to believe we are in Novembert. But for what it's worth, I think we are excited about what lies ahead. Last week, we didn't do reverbs because we had a bit of a scheduling mishap. This week, it's back on.
Yes.
It's back on. So give us a call at 408-VERBAL-1. Our boy Taylor is going to mix those up now that he's moved into his new digs, Dan. Mm-hmm. And he will work his wizardry once more to put together.
What's the name of his show? Talking Terps, right?
Talking Terps, yeah.
I like that. That's a great
Do give us a call at 408-VERBAL-1. That's 408-837-2251. We will do our best to cut up and replay your voice messages on our Sunday review show. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, please do not forget that you can find us on Twitter and Facebook and on Instagram and Snapchat. And most importantly, on iTunes at itunes.com/solidverbal, as well as Google Podcasts or Google Play. We're on Stitcher. We're on TuneIn. We're in pretty much everywhere you can find other podcasts. We're working on Spotify. We'll get there soon.
If you know where to look, you can also find Ty. He published some photos in college when he was trying to earn extra money. You can find him there. And Ty, good for you for taking care of your core. Good for you.
All right. On that note, for that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrandt, thanks again for joining us here on the show. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week 10. And by all means, stay solid.
Peace.